How's it going, YouTube? Coming to you today with another video. And today, guys, the brand new is going to be state of the game. Now, this is going to be something that I think is really important to talk about with the way that our current meta is and the way that it's going to be going after the next two sets before nationals. And there's a couple of things that I want to bring up, a couple of things I want to talk about with the meta. So I hope that you enjoyed today's video. And if you haven't already checked out my sponsors over on Gem, Cloud, Arla, Imperium, Dragonshield, RW, MainPhaze, and Grimoire, definitely go and do so. And then if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, definitely go and do so we can hit our goal at 30,000. Now, today I want to answer a very simple question. Is our format unhealthy? Now, is it really that simple to answer? Not really, but there's going to be a couple things that I want to show you to talk about my reasoning behind my final answer. So the first one today is going to be Perfect Knowledge. Now, Cool Tune is the best deck in the game right now by statistics. It's 28.4% compared to the next one, which is 21.5%, and that's branded. Now, Perfect Knowledge is definitely an issue, and the fact that you can peep the hand and you get to control the top deck is definitely a lot to deal with. But is this the most toxic thing that we've ever seen? I know that this is the common answer when we started the format was yes, it's really broken. It's something that is just like overbearingly awful to deal with. But I don't really want to say that, like other things in the past have been more toxic than this because they have been. And I know that they're peeping the hand, but they're also not like hand ripping the hand. So it's also like less bad. And yes, it is still the best deck in the format right now by the numbers. But at the same time, I don't think that this is as bad as we first thought that it was. And there are ways to deck build around beating something like this, playing cards like Magnuma, being able to draw into cards if you're on things like Impulse. There's a couple different ways that you can go ahead and deal with a deck like this. So definitely not saying that it's going to be great to have in the format forever, but it's something that for now, there are worse things to deal with. Now let's go into a couple more things that we can talk about with this meta that would deem it unhealthy. So one of the things is if you're playing against the pure power patron deck and you can't play because you got the lechery on the board and the sloth, it's a little rough to try to play through this, right? You need cards like Lava Golem, you need Spear Mode, you just need something to go ahead and deal with a board that's going to be a major issue. And this is something that I would definitely deem a major issue. So definitely something that you want to think about moving forward. But this is something that is very easily dealt with a deck build situation, right? And it's definitely not going to be the easiest because you can't summon from the extra deck when this is on the board. You also can't use spells. So you have to rely heavier on your tribute cards or in archetypal monsters to be able to deal with situations like this. The next one is Can't Search, and that's going to be Trastrius with the Destruction. This is also something that is really rough to deal with, right? Because usually it's not just this. It's going to be backed up by other things like Regulus and Verudurus. So you definitely need an answer to be able to break through something like this. And when you're staring at a board of negates and a non-searching clause, it can feel unwinnable. And also not really being able to super poly the end board either, which kind of sucks. The next one is the FTKs in the format right now. You can either be playing trains or you can be playing the Power Patron FTK where you put up non-finito with recapture and you're protected from monster effects. So unless you get like Impermed or Dominist, you're just FTKing your opponent, right? So definitely something that is also deemed as a current issue. The next one is going to be the triple hand rip. If you play against Elf Note and you lose die roll, you get hit twice with Omega Dispatter line, and then they summon Tinia and rip a third. So especially if you hand trap them early, you are down 4 cards, which is definitely a major issue. And there's a lot of cards that I really wish they would have banned a long time ago, just in case that they were an issue again. Things like Omega, things like Shifter, right? The things that just like randomly leave at 1 that serve no good purpose other than like toxic reasoning, right? So cards like this, I hope just like disappear one day just because like they don't necessarily need to be in the game. They just only put at very toxic scenarios and never used for anything healthy, right? So definitely something that I could see in the future. But this is another thing that people really dislike in the format currently. Now, talking about the meta itself, Draco Tail was out of the meta. I remember I made the ban list reaction video and I was like, yeah, Rahu to 1, the deck will find a way to adapt. And I got so many comments in the comment section that were calling me dumb over this, man. But 9 tops later and a YCS win, it's still around. It's still around. I talked about this for 2 videos and I was like, guys, it's not going anywhere. And lo and behold, it is here. 9 tops later. It's still very, very strong. Even as a minimalistic engine, which it's still like 9 cards, it's still just going to be something that adapts with the branded archetype, which is already so strong with Wildbaz. So definitely not going anywhere, right? Still very strong. The trap cards are still very strong, and something that you still got to keep in mind. This is still a pretty diverse meta, even though it's pretty top heavy, Cool Tune branded, and some ways Doom Z2 because it's only a little under 10%. And then we have 28 and 21%. So obviously those are like the best decks in the room, right? But you still have a pretty heavy amount of Elf Note, Mitsurugi, Malice, Striker, Draco Tail. And then if you start going into some of the other decks like 5 or 6 tops, you have Yummy, Power Patron, Fairy Tale. So definitely something else to keep in mind here. But there's still going to be a lot of decks that you can run into any day of the week, right? Enya Craft is still around. Lunalight's still around. You might run into some Clown Crew variant. There's been a couple tops of Rise Yule Mitsurugi lately, right? VS K9, that's still going to be a deck that you run into. So we're still in a pretty diverse meta alongside a lot of the issues that we already have. And I feel like if all these decks can still find a way to survive, you're still going to be in a very okay position to where even with everything that's like negative happening in the game right now, I really don't think that the game is in that bad of a spot. Yes, there's a couple cards that need to get dealt with on a ban list, but like objectively, I think that we're in a pretty okay position right now in terms of a game as a whole. Just because like Cool Tune and Branded being the best decks in the format, you can really cater your deck list to deal with these two, which a lot of people already have been doing, right? Playing things like Super Poly, playing Bell, right? There's a couple of ways that you can really go ahead and just like cater your main to work with this. And then if you need additional support in your sideboard, you can do that too. But overall, I would say that our meta is pretty split up, and you can play just about anything right now and still find your way to a top table. And if you like a diverse meta, we're getting even more diverse. We're going to have the chess deck, which is going to be really cool. We know the basics of how it works. I think that deck is going to be really strong moving forward, just based off of what we know, right? I'm excited for the reveals, but as far as right now goes, I think that it's going to be a really cool archetype to have in the game. The BLS deck is going to be very strong. And it's not necessarily going to be a deck. It's more so going to be like an engine mixed in with other things as well. But it's a very strong engine, and I definitely could see this moving forward being like one of the most popular things that we have. The card quality is really good. And there's a lot of ways with these cards to be able to search like any ritual. So 10 more years of Habakiri, right? So I could definitely see like a light and dark Mitsurugi deck going crazy, but a lot of it's going to be just like combo slop ritual pile. It's going to be really good. I definitely think that these cards are going to be like it moving forward, right? Like one of the better decks. Invocation.Alistair.deck, definitely going to be amazing. These new cards, one of them is just like a macro on legs. So that's going to be scary. But just another thing that is going to be just kind of incorporated, I'm sure, into even more like branded or fusion pile strategies. I could see something working out with that. Or maybe we just see like a harder focused like spoon.Alistair.deck, right? So definitely going to be very interesting with how this ends up working out. But the Magistus cards, I'm sure, will also help carry this deck. And then Blitzclick, I do think that this is going to be interesting for the format. It's like Flu and Tenpai had a child, right? So I definitely think that we're going to see a lot of people picking this up and playing it. It's going to be definitely very interesting with how it's built because it's going to be a little different here that's in the OCG currently, but I definitely could see this having an impact into our meta as well. If you enjoyed today's video, definitely let me know down below in the comment section. I personally don't think that the game is in that bad of a position. Do you disagree? Let me know. I think that right now there's a lot of different decks that you can play, and yeah, there's some annoying bits of the format, but like at the same time, it still feels very playable, and I don't really feel like I'm being just like ultimately shut out. You know, there's still going to be answers for things, and just because there's answers doesn't mean it's healthy, but at the same time, I feel like we've just been in way worse positions. So let me know what you think, and I'll catch you all on the next one. Thank you.